Are you trying to find the right suburb to live in the Midlands of South Carolina, Columbia, Lexington, and Lake Murray area? Well, in this video, we're gonna be breaking down the top suburbs in the Columbia area. And so you don't think I'm biased and just picking my favorites, so I actually used niche.com as my resource. And so these are the top 5 suburbs to live in the Columbia metro area. And as a bonus at the end, I've added some areas that did not make the list, but you often ask me about. We'll call them the viewer's choice and hidden gems. And yes, we're gonna be doing this as a map tour, as you can see. I know you all love the map tours I've done in the past, and so I'll be showing you the different areas and as well showing you some B-rolls of the area too, to give you an idea. But for those interested, make sure to subscribe because in the future, I'm actually gonna be doing vlog tours of a lot of these areas where it'll be me down on the streets showing you the downtowns, the shops, the restaurants, as well as driving through the different neighborhoods, so you won't want to miss that. And as always, my team and I as real estate agents have been helping people relocate from all over the country. So don't hesitate to reach out to us so that way you don't have to go out this alone. All right, so we get kicked off, and again, this is gonna be a map tour. I know some of you love the last map tour I did, breaking down the entire area, but of course in this, we're breaking down those top suburbs, and we're gonna work this way backwards, from number 5 down to number 1, and then those bonuses. And so we get kicked off with number 5. According to niche.com, it's gonna be Blythewood, gonna be up here in the northeast part of Columbia. I'm gonna break down the different areas, show you the downtowns, where local shopping is, neighborhoods, and things like that. Bear with me as obviously sensitivity of the clicking of the mouse here to try and get to the angle I want. But either way, as we dive in here to downtown Blythewood, as you can see, relatively small town area, and I'll kind of break down the area a little bit further, but let me give you some stats just to give you an idea. So from what I found, the population comes in at 4,772 in a 448 square mile space. It is, if you've been watching me for a while, going to be the site of Scout Motors, and we'll dive into where that is later. But here is downtown Blythewood. And again, relatively small area. And don't worry, I'm going to show you some other shopping centers around the area that you can hit as well if you live in the local Blythewood area. But as you can see, you do have your food line up here right outside of Cobblestone Park. You have your local IGA. So you do have grocery shopping in here. You know, you got some San Jose Mexican, Carolina Wings and Pub, Waffle House, the local burger place. You know, like I said, relatively small town as well. You come over here and you have the Doco Meadows Park. And this used to be a train station town, kind of name founded from that. But either way, Doco Meadows Park, similar to like Lexington, they have their own amphitheater out there and they do events. I've been out in the area before and seen tons of events and things like that. As well, up here, you have Blythewood Park, really big park up here. And then up on this back side, if we zoom out, I'll kind of pull it up. You got a bunch of different, soccer fields and things like that, athletic. So zoom out a little bit though here to give you an idea. As we come down out of downtown Blythewood, Blythewood High School sits right here, the award-winning Blythewood High School. And then again, for more shopping, before we dive into some of the neighborhoods that you may already see, if you come down here just a little ways to a road called Killian. So this is Killian right here. So couple exits back from downtown Blythewood. This is where you're going to have a whole lot more. You can already see Walmart Supercenter, and we'll dive in a little bit more. You have your Chick-fil-A's, Freddy's, frozen custard. You have Kroger Marketplace. I know a lot of people love Kroger Marketplace. You also have a bunch of, move over here. There's actually a bunch of different dealerships when you first get off. You have Honda over here, Toyota down there, Acura, Volkswagen, so many more. But also as well, that recently opened out here as we come back is Lexington Medical Center Northeast. So Lexington Medical Center did open up a hospital out this way. So obviously it's going to be your closest hospital for those living in the Blythewood area. And then you can see Lowe's Home Improvement, Aldi, and so much more. So again, this is where majority of your shopping is going to be if you're in Blythewood outside of, like I said, the grocery stores right there. So not too far back. And for those looking for a little bit more, you've probably heard me talk about, keep coming down this way to the villages at Sand Hills. And this is where you're going to have, clicking on things again, Sam's Club, Target, the outdoor mall with Academy, and so much more over there, movie theater and things like that. So again, hopefully give you an idea of shopping in the area. Now let's talk about the area itself. Blythewood. So again, I've talked about the Scout Motors plant, and it's going to be right in this region right here in between the two Blythewood exits. And it takes up, it says it takes up 1,100 acre site that they purchased. And the groundbreaking, actually, their official groundbreaking happened. And what I'm being told, they're expect to be manufacturing by 2026. So pretty neat to see that again. That's going to be sitting right here in this section here. They show some of the renderings where there's going to be, different roads coming in this, different options, hopefully prevent traffic from going in the area. But let's talk about neighborhoods in the area, because you could probably already see some popping up. Cobblestone Park, I've done a video about that, golf course neighborhood. Very unique neighborhood when it comes to their amenity center, as they do have so much. They have a pool there, they have a clubhouse, they have soccer fields. And one of the neat things, I can't promise you they still do this, but when they were selling brand new homes out there the other year, they were doing this, where with your HOA, that key card that gets you into the pool, they actually have a like burger stand, food, drinks, things like that. And you can swipe your card to purchase there, and then it just builds it to your HOA. It's kind of like staying at a resort. They do a ton of events out there, kids camps and things like that. So pretty cool. Obviously the pandemic messed up a lot of these events and things like that, but this is what has been explained to me that they do out there. So pretty cool. As well, you have the Windermere Club all here around Longtown Columbia Country Club. So there's a ton of neighborhoods around Longtown. I've had some people purchase in there that absolutely love this location. Like I said, bunch of different neighborhoods around Longtown around there. As well, you can see not too far out is Lake Carolina. Had a lot of people really like Lake Carolina, especially those considering the Scout plant, some that are actually working there, because essentially, as you can kind of see, Kelly Mill Road, this back way takes you right into Blythewood, or you can kind of cut up Hardscrabble and come down this way into downtown Blythewood. And I'll be 100% honest, for those in the area that live in Lake Carolina, as you know, they've been working on Hardscrabble Road for many, many years. As long as I've been here, they've been working on Hardscrabble Road. Once they finish it, it'll be awesome. But in the meantime, obviously during the construction, a lot of traffic. So every time I go out to Lake Carolina, I always come this back way, come up here, giving away my secrets, but this is the way I always come. And like I said, I know a lot of people that are looking at that Scout plant are living out here just because it's such a short commute into there. And for reference, in the last 6 months, what I could find in the Blythewood area is pricing came in at $367,110 for average. And that came in at a price per square foot average of $139.57. But so either way, I hope that gives you a good idea of the Blythewood area, as it does rank number 5 in niche.com's top suburbs to live in. Let's zoom back out, because we're going to dive into the next one. And number 4 comes in actually at Lexington. And let's dive into Lexington a little bit further. If you've been watching me for a while, you've probably heard me say this, but the big thing about Lexington is it can get very confusing when we talk about Lexington, because you have quote unquote the town of Lexington. You have what is considered greater Lexington. You have the zip codes of Lexington, 29072, 29073, the unincorporated parts of Lexington, and then as well as Lexington County. So a little bit confusing, but of course this is talking about the suburbs, so we're going to dive into the local areas versus the entire county. And so to give you an idea of the town itself population, 12.12 square miles is downtown here. Comes in with a population of 23,568. Now, the greater Lexington, again, unincorporated, is considered the fastest growing area in the Midlands of South Carolina, coming in at 111,549 for population. Now, again, for reference, Lexington County, which is going to include a lot more, it's going to include up here in Chapin, all the way up to Batesburg, Leesville, Pillion, Swansea, West Columbia, Irmo, and so much more. Parts of Irmo, part of this is Richland County. That comes in at a population of 293,991. And it comes in at 757.62 square miles. So again, hopefully that gives you a reference, but let's dive into Lexington itself to give you an idea, because it gets talked about a lot. So we dive down in here to Main Street, and I know I've done some tours of Main Street and things like that. So this is the downtown strip of Main Street, and this is where you're gonna, as you can already see, you have the Ice House Amphitheater, O'Hara's Public House, Bodie Thai Food, Groucho's Deli. You also have the County Courthouse over here, and just so much right here in downtown Lexington. The brand new Barrio Tacos. You have Bubba's Biscuit, And then there's the new center that they're building here where they talked about Moltovino coming and so much more. And so that's one of the things that a lot of people like about Lexington is just this quaint downtown here where you can park and walk and go to the, do dinner, go to axe throwing, go to the concert at the amphitheater, so much more. We go down there all the time. You have the park right behind it. They're actually working on it right now, kind of expanding it. And then on the backside is a dog park as well. But that's kind of the downtown Main Street part of Lexington. As we dive out, you kind of got a couple different ways to go with this. And we'll start by going up 378 here. I've done a driving tour where I drive down 378, but this is where a ton of your shopping is going to be. It can cause a little bit of traffic, not going to lie. You'll see people complain about it all the time. I did my driving video and they're like, you must have done this on Sunday morning when everybody was in church because there's so much traffic. But as you can see, you got Home Depot, Walmart, Publix, TJ Maxx, Kohl's, Lowe's Home Improvement, Planet Fitness, Lowe's grocery store, and it just keeps on going. You have your Target, Best Buy, Hudson Smokehouse, a great barbecue place there. So again, this is kind of that main strip of your primary chain stores, as I say, right here down Sunset Boulevard. As we back out a little more, of course, the other highlight of Lexington, Lake Murray, as you can see, the 50,000 acre play place. And so obviously just up the road. And again, I'll break this down again. So on the south side, you have really two different. You have a parking lot that if you just want to walk the dam, you can park there and walk the dam. If you want to actually access it during the season that opens up, you pay a couple bucks. You go down there, they got picnic tables, and it's actually kind of buoyed off so that those for swimmers, paddleboarders, things like that don't have to worry about boats flying by. On the north side of that dam is where you're going to have your boat launch. You do have some fishing piers and things like that and quote unquote kayak launches, but of course it doesn't have the buoyed section off like down here simply because it has that boat launch where boats are launching out of there. Now, again, as I've said before, this is free in the off season, but during the season, the guard does come and you pay a couple bucks to get in there to launch your boat and things like that. And then again, one more thing as we finish up with Lexington. So on the west side of Lexington, because we've seen a lot of growth going that way, I've talked about before, as well as the south side, but I know what this is referencing here is going to be more of kind of this area of Lexington than, again, the greater Lexington area. So on the west side of Lexington, you have some neighborhoods down this way that are popping up. And grocery shopping right here, as you can see, Publix supermarket, Lowe's food, and then you have your CVS, Walgreens kind of thing right over there. That's going to be your main shopping living on this side of town. Then it kind of gets a little bit rural as we dive out here until you kind of hit Batesburg, Leesville, to be 100% honest. And so if you're living out this way, you can get your grocery shopping done. But again, your major shopping is going to be back down this way. And for reference, on our last market report, price point in Lexington came out at an average around $280,870. Now, again, to break down Lexington further, because I know I have people looking in all different areas when it comes to Lexington, I will break this down for pricing sakes. Again, we're not going to break down the south side because obviously, like I said, what this niche.com is talking about is this main hub of Lexington right here. But either way, the 29072 part of Lexington, which is going to be this north side of Lexington, their price came in at $402,109. with an average price per square foot of $160.66. Now, when we not include Lake Murray on that, because obviously those prices are quite a bit higher, we're not going to dive into that in this report. That actually comes in with an average around $391,878 for price at an average price per square foot $156.31. To give you an idea, on the south side of Lexington, again, pricing 29073 Lexington came in at $275,403 with an average price per square foot of $148.14. I've always told people, ever since I've lived here, south side of Lexington, has always price per square foot been less than 29072 part of Lexington. Either way, let's continue on with the next area. And number 3 comes in, and we're going to kind of combine these to be 100% honest, and I'll explain why, because this comes in at Seven Oaks. So Seven Oaks, as you can see, is this section right here. Now, I will say Seven Oaks is a census designated place, but when I talk about this area with clients, most of the time we're just talking about general Irmo, which number 2 is Irmo. So we're going to kind of combine these a little bit. but I will dive into the specifics of what Seven Oaks is, because there are some specific neighborhoods within that region. So we'll hit on that just because it did show up on this. But I personally, when I talk to people, kind of combine this into Irmo itself. But as we dive into Seven Oaks, one of the biggest neighborhoods you'll have is this neighborhood right here, which is a neighborhood called Whitehall. Had a lot of people buy in there, actually listed some homes in there as well. But either way, give you an idea about that specifically, and then we'll dive into the Irmo area a little bit more as I dive into the Irmo information. But either way, again, Seven Oaks is a census designated place. Comes in at 7.77 square miles, population of 14,652. And again, Whitehall is probably the primary neighborhood in there. And to give you an idea about it, this is houses built 60s, 70s, 80s, a lot of character. One of the houses I list in there actually had an atrium right there when you walked in. It was pretty cool. You had this entryway and an atrium right in the middle with the light that came into it. At one point, it looked like it was used as probably like a fish pond, but over the years, obviously having fish ponds in the middle of your house, leaks and things like that, people end up forgoing them, and they just kind of turned in this cool little atrium. So it was pretty neat. Like I said, a lot of character in those homes. But to give you an idea, either way, average price in Whitehall came in at $267,119 with an average price per square foot of $122,07. Now, I will tell people ask all the time about floodplains. So interesting part about Irmo, you see all these creeks in here and things like that that kind of run down from the lake. You do have a couple spots that do get floodplains. Now, the tricky part is I listed a house in Whitehall, and the house I listed was not in a floodplain, but the house across the street was in a floodplain. So it's, I would say, about 25% or less of the homes land in the floodplain, and you'll notice a sizable price per square foot difference just because you are required to have flood insurance on those. But I always remind people of that. Like I said, it's a small percentage. Don't be like, oh, I got to cross Irmo off the list. I don't want to pay, flood insurance, because again, it's a very small percentages. Mostly it's these ones that end up on creeks and things like that. But either way, wanted to hit that on that. But let's dive into Irmo overall, because again, I loop these in together. Maybe I'm the wrong one. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say I wasn't born here. I didn't grow up here. Again, I'm just reading the information here that Niche gave us and broke it down. But so either way, you have the Irmo area. And let me give you an idea about it. 6.86 square miles, population of 11,569. So smaller technically than the Seven Oaks area. Again, the tricky part is, I talk about this all the time, you have the technical towns, but then you have these zip codes that encompass it. You have areas, the metro areas. And so a lot of these can be a little bit confusing, because I will tell you, this is going to be one of the ones I'm really going to vlog about, because this area probably confuses people more so than anything. I have a lot of people that pique their interest on Irmo with some of the stuff I'm sharing with you, and they come down, they're like, Brandon, it's a lot busier than I thought it was. And some of these population things can throw that out because of that. And it is a relatively populated area. Certain areas are pretty densely populated. These areas right here, a lot of people ask about new construction, and you don't see much of it because simply it's densely populated with, like I said, these 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s homes. On the north side is where you'll see some new homes, just because a lot of it isn't developed, but it is a relatively busy area from what most people, I guess, assume when they do this online. I've done some driving videos of the areas, and I hope you check them out, but I'm gonna do a vlog on this one because, again, I really want to dive into this to help people learn a little bit more. But let me dive into Irmo itself. So again, let me come backwards here to part of what is considered actual downtown Irmo, because again, a lot of this can be a little bit confusing. So you have Irmo Town Park over here. As well, you have Irmo Community Park up here, and right up here you have Loveland Coffee, cool little coffee spot if you haven't been. If you've seen, I got my camera shifted this way right now, but over there, one of the beer cans I have up there, Steel Hands Brewing, right? So Steel Hands Brewing is a local brewery in our area that we love to go to. I've done a ton of videos and talked about it in those, and they have their coffee lager beer. If you haven't had it, it's phenomenal. It actually has caffeine in it. It's not just a coffee flavor like some of these coffee stouts. And it's really good. It became our as you get older, our Red Bull vodka. It's a little too old. We do their coffee lagers, and Loveland Coffee is actually the one that supplies the coffee for that. So pretty cool thing about this kind of mutualness that they did together to create that. But either way, it was pretty interesting. I had a client that pointed out to me this whole story about Irmo that I didn't know that, hit a lot of people in Irmo in the recent times. So there was a proposal by who is now mayor to actually take this area here, Mosley Avenue, and kind of push this out as a main street that kind of dead ends at this Irmo Community Park. And he wanted to, you know, have a brewery in there. You wanted to have, you know, shops, because there's no true quote unquote downtown. Like with Lexington, you can't come and like park your car here on Lake Murray Boulevard and walk, because I promise you it's not gonna, like, this is a busy road. It's not a quaint little downtown. So he wanted to create that quaint downtown feel. Well, there was a lot of up in arms from the town of Irmo. Now, again, this guy, from my understanding, is now mayor and is trying to still push for it. So who knows what comes of it. But either way, I always tell people that there's no like small downtown. You have these Lake Murray Boulevard, which is, you know, a big shopping area right here. You can see on here as well. Let me zoom out. Coming down this way, Columbiana. Talked about this before as well. Our local mall sits right here. And so you have all these hotels, Texas Roadhouse, sushi places. You have so much different Brazilian steakhouses, Italian places, and then the mall here. And so you just have all this shopping around the area. And then as well, it always gets asked, our one and only Costco sits right over here on the other side of Irmo as well. You can see more shopping and things like that. So it's just a busy area when it comes to shopping. Now, those that love the chain stores, this is a spot to be, because you have more of them in this area than any part of this side of town, outside of, like I said, Sand Hills Mall up on the northeast side. But on this side, this is where you're going to get everything you're looking for right there in that Costco. And so that's why I say it's a little misleading, because a lot of people think it's a quaint little downtown, but it's not. It's just a busy area. Now, where there has been quite a bit of growth, again, as I talked about earlier, is on the north side of Irmo, because again, a lot of this was not established. You know, you do have some neighborhoods up here. You have Ascot, you have Chestnut Hill Plantation, you have the YMCA over here, but a lot of this was, you know, not really established. And so they started building neighborhoods up this way. And I'll tell you, this is the neighborhood I tell people where one person is like, I want to be out in the country. I don't want to be out in the middle shopping. And the other person is like, I don't want to drive 45 minutes to go to Costco. I don't want to drive 45 minutes to go to Target. I want to be close to everything. For a lot of people, this is that happy medium, because you feel like you're kind of out there just because you're surrounded by trees, 2-lane roads, but you know, 10 minutes down the road and all of a sudden you're at the mall. So it kind of is that happy balance that we've seen a lot take over in Irmo. But either way, hopefully that gives you a better idea of the Irmo. Again, please subscribe so that you catch these vlog tours, because again, this is probably one of the most misunderstood areas that I've had, is because of that. And as we wrap up here, let me give you the median price point again, because I gave it to you for other areas. So Irmo itself came in at $223,250. Again, a lot of people do like the area because your money just happens to go a little bit further over here, at least in the older homes. You know, you still, with those newer homes, you still got kind of a higher price ticket on it. And you do still have neighborhoods, like I said, Ascot, that are $600,000 to $1 million homes. But again, your money can go further in some of these other areas. But either way, let's zoom out and we'll dive into number one, according to niche.com. And let me explain what it says. According to niche.com, this area offers residents a dense suburban feel, and most residents own their homes. In this area, there are a lot of parks, many young professionals and retirees, and residents tend to have moderate political views. The public schools in the area are highly rated. That's what niche.com says. And what area is it? Drum roll, please. And don't forget, there is still a bonus at the end, those bonus ones I'll talk about. But it is the area and suburb of Forest Acres. A lot of you have talked to me about Forest Acres. Now, again, this is another one I'm going to do a vlog tour of, because it's a little bit confusing, simply because similar to Irmo, right? Because there's no like quaint walkable downtown per se. It connects to like the 5 Points area in extent. So there are some neighborhoods people will walk down to 5 Points where you can walk around and things like that. But Forest Acres itself, let's dive in, because you can already see something, and why a lot of people like this area, to be 100% honest, is because you got a lot of these niche stores, right? You got Trader Joe's over here. On the other side, you got Whole Foods over there. They've been building a lot over there. For those that have been down to Nexton, down in Charleston, a lot of the places that went there are now coming down here, which is pretty interesting, right? So you have Crumble Cookies. You also have, let me see if I can find it here. But as you can see, you got pizza places, Pancake House, Bonefish Grill, Lowe's Food. That one's newer. They also built some new apartments up in here. Boca Grande Burritos. Like I said, Trader Joe's over here. Brugger's Bagel, Bad Daddy Burgers. There it is. That's the one I was looking for. I knew I could find it. But so either way, a lot of these, you know, niche kind of stores and restaurants and things like that are coming to the area. Now, as I said, Forest Drive is a busy road. this isn't, you know, a little 2-lane road that you can walk up and down to Trader Joe's. Like you could, but it's not what people think of like these little downtowns. And so that's what confuses people a little bit more as well. But it's 100% right when it talks about it. You got a bunch of different parks around the area and things like that as well. You have some golf courses in the area. And you know, the living similar to Irmo, that you got some older established neighborhoods, not as much new stuff, simply because again, these are kind of older established. And then a lot of the shopping and things came out. Another reason it's pretty popular is one of the things that talked about young professionals and retirees. And part of it is 2 different reasons. As you can see, proximity to downtown Columbia. So those that, you know, are working downtown, it's an easy commute into downtown just because shoot on down and here you are into downtown. As well, you have Fort Jackson over here. And as well, you do have down this way, you have the VA hospital. And so there's a lot of conveniences to it just because of proximity to all the different things. As well, I-77 sitting right here. And if you haven't been to the area, I-77, probably one of the areas that's like a speedway. I don't think I've ever been in traffic on I-77 in this corridor, simply because it's you fly down. So if you want to get to Charleston, it's easy way down. Anywhere you want to go, if you want to go north, head up towards Charlotte, it's an easy way to go. And so that's where, again, there's a lot of conveniences to Forest Acres right there. Now, let me give you an idea of Forest Acres, because Forest Acres can be a little confusing when you're looking at homes and prices. And so let me give you the breakdown of it. First, population comes in at 10,606 in a 5 square mile. And that's the city again. Again, you have city technically, and then obviously if you're looking at it, you're like, well, that's not 5 square miles. You have a bigger area of it. And so let's pull the zip codes that pull into it. So over the past 6 months, the zip codes that encompass Forest Acres came in at 323,698 with an average price per square foot of 159,06. Now again, there's a lot of diversity when it comes to the Forest Acres area. You literally have $1 million homes, and then you have, like, you know, $180,000 homes, to be 100% honest, and some even less than 180,000. And so there's such a diversity in there when it comes to this. And I think that's probably another reason that it ranks high on this, is just because you have a lot of options just depending on what you're looking for. But again, that comes in at the #1 area is Forest Acres. And again, as I said, you saw your downtown there, Whole Foods Market over here, as I talked about, close to downtown Columbia with your hospitals and things like that, the new Segro Park. And so it kind of gives you that close to everything feel. And as I said, there are parts, you know, if you kind of move this way to outside of Forest Acres, I've seen people, especially at 5 Points, we talk about coming up soon here, depending on when this video actually pops out, St. Patrick's and 5 Points. I've seen people in some of these neighborhoods, you know, taking a walk down to St. Patrick's. Now, during that time, they do block off a lot of the main roads, so you can walk because of the parade and things like that. But again, perceivably in some of these neighborhoods, you could walk to 5 Points. And so that's going to be more that walkable downtown, where, like I said, this is the area that a lot of people see all this and it's like, and that's what I'm going to do the vlog on, to give you a better idea. Now let's dive into the bonus, what I call the viewer's choice. Did not make this list, but these are the areas I get asked about a lot. You know, I wouldn't say more so than any of these, but just a bonus. And like I said, the viewer's choice. And we get started off with Chapin, South Carolina. And it is pronounced Chapin, not Chapin. I've been told so many things. And it's going to be up here on the north side of the lake. Again, one of the reasons people do like this area a lot is because, kind of like I talked about with this upper part of Irmo. In Chapin, you got this small downtown feel, and I'll drive in a little bit. I have done some driving tours out here, but I'll pull in here a little bit more. As you can see, you got your Lowe's food, and this was actually converted by Lowe. And so a lot of people say it doesn't feel like the normal Lowe's food either way, but you have your food line out here. So you have your grocery stores, you have some really good restaurants, Zorba's, Mexican Place. As you come up Columbia Avenue, back up, sorry, I'm going the wrong way as I zoom out here, towards the interstate, you do have a bunch more restaurants and things like that. Chop House of Chapin, that's the way I want to go. Sorry about that. But either way, you have some stuff downtown. You don't have per se everything if you're looking for those chain stores though. You will have like an Ace Hardware, but if you want like Lowe's, Home Depot, Costco, those types of things, Target, again, you're coming back down towards the Harbison, Irmo area. So, you know, call it a 20-minute drive. Again, this is another one of those where it's like, hey, I kind of want to be out in a small town, but close to stuff. And again, close means different to every person. You know, some people I ask, like, what does close mean to you? And you're like, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes. And other people are like less than an hour. And so again, it's about 15, 20-minute drive, depending on where you are in Chapin. Because again, when I say that with hesitation, because for instance, one of the popular neighborhoods, Timberlake down here, only golf course on Lake Murray. And so golf course, country club, tons of different neighborhoods within this. There's a marina in there. It's about a 10-minute drive, 15-minute drive from Timberlake back into Chapin. And then you're another, call it, 15, 20 minutes back into Irmo to get to that shopping. So just depending on where you live. But again, that is one of the biggest reasons people like Chapin, is because of the proximity to the lake. And you do as well have some free access to lakes down here, down Wessinger. There's a public access right there where you don't have to pay. You can come drop your boat, you can go kayaking, do what you want to do. As well, you have popular lake neighborhoods, Palmetto Shores, as you can see, Timberlake, as I talked about. And then there's a couple others in here that, do offer boat slips. They offer marinas, things like that in the neighborhood. And so that's where it became popular, is because of that. And obviously, schools and things like that. But either way, Chapin is the one I wanted to highlight just because I get a lot of people that ask about it. And let me give you the stats on that one. So the population of Chapin came in at 1,841, and that's in a 1.99 square miles. Now, of course, again, that's just the town, as we talked about with everything else. The zip code itself spreads further out, and that zip code itself comes in at 20,923. Now, something very interesting you may have noticed within Chapin. There's been a lot of push to change this, but it has not happened. You may notice that there's no apartments, no multifamily. That was one of the rules in Chapin. Chapin passed a rule many years ago that multifamily wasn't a thing. Now, they recently tried to push it in, I heard. I don't think it went through, but you will notice that, there's none in the area. There's not apartments. These multifamilies don't exist. They didn't allow them in Chapin. And so people ask, like, hey, apartments in the area and rent. And I'll say this on this video, we don't have a property management division at the Brandon Garrett team. But either way, I bring it up because I get a lot of questions about this, and there aren't multifamilies out in that area. But there is, just diving in before we do wrap up, Crooked Creek Park is, you'll hear a lot of people talk about, especially go to new construction, like, you got to check out Crooked Creek Park. And what it is that's kind of where their rec center is, right? So you have your baseball fields, softball fields, soccer fields, things like that, as well as the park there. Every area kind of has theirs. Lexington has theirs. My kids play t-ball in Lexington. They have football fields, baseball fields, soccer fields, and all kinds of things. And then, of course, Chapin has theirs as well. And so that's what that is. But either way, let's dive into the last one, the last bonus. And this is more of a general one, and it's simply Northeast Columbia, right? And I'll give you the pricing stats on those in just a minute here. But again, it kind of encompasses this entire area. The Lake Carolinas, as well as your Wood Creek Farms and all these other neighborhoods that encompass this area. So one of the things, Wildwood down here, that I talk about a lot with Northeast Columbia, one of the reasons people like Northeast Columbia, attract to it, is because of these types of neighborhoods, master plan subdivisions, as you would call them, right? Where there's literally many neighborhoods made up within one. And what that creates is like the Lake Carolinas, where you could perceivably, go on a bike ride through your neighborhood, and it's a decent route. Like, it's not like I'm just riding up and down the street back and forth a couple times and call it a day. Same with, Wood Creek Farms, golf course neighborhood, those that like to golf. And again, people can ride their bikes up and down through the entire neighborhood without going on a major road. Where again, some of these other areas, your neighborhood has, 150 homes, and you're just kind of riding up and down the street every once in a while. Like, these kind of neighborhoods exist right here in Northeast Columbia, which is one of the reasons I have a lot of people ask about it, specifically Lake Carolina. I've done an entire video about that area, but that's why I didn't want to leave it out. But to give you an idea of pricing in that area, in the last 90 days, their price came in at $308,734 with an average price per square foot of $136.53. Again, your money tends to go a little bit further up here than some of the other areas, not as much as Irmo per se, but again, as you saw in Blythewood when we dove into there and things like that. But so either way, I hope this gives you a better idea, again, of those top 5 suburbs according to niche.com, as well as those bonuses. I hope you enjoyed these map tours. If you want more of these, let me know. But again, I will be doing vlogs where I'm diving deep into these areas. So you don't only get the B-roll that I show here, but you also get me walking the streets, driving the neighborhoods and things like that. So make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss that video.